Stop! That's not medicine, that's poison! The shout tore through the air from the doorway, splitting open the tension strung tight as a violin string inside the most exclusive ward of St. Jude's Central Hospital in New York. Inside, nearly 20 doctors, leading specialists summoned from across the nation, crowded around a state-of-the-art hospital bed, all startled into turning their heads at once. The monitors shrieked in frenzy, alarms blaring, the red jagged line on billionaire Arthur Sterling's heart screen plunging with each faltering beat. Dr. Thorne, the head of the department, flushed crimson at being interrupted in the middle of a crisis. "What? Who just said that?" A small, wiry figure stepped forward. It was Leo, a 14-year-old black boy, swallowed by an oversized janitor's uniform. His worn-out shoes scraped against the polished tiles, but his eyes burned with a fire that rivaled the pulsing red lights overhead. "You're reading it wrong. His blood potassium level is already at a critical threshold. One more dose of KCl will kill him instantly." Chaos erupted in the room. A nurse froze, syringe suspended mid-air. "Who is this kid?" "Security!" Dr. Thorne barked. Yet Leo did not flinch. He pointed toward the side monitor where the latest lab results glowed unmistakably. "It's right here. Everyone can see it, only no one's been paying attention." A large hand clamped down on his shoulder, dragging him back. Amid the commotion, Dr. Sharma, the young resident, cast a fleeting glance at the screen. A flicker of doubt sparked in her eyes. Leo was hauled away, still shouting over the uproar. "Don't you get it? Someone is trying to kill him right in front of all of you." Why could a janitor's boy read medical charts more accurately than trained doctors? And if he was telling the truth, did that mean the killer was standing inside this very room? From a distance, Maria, the boy's mother, rushed forward, her janitor's uniform brushing against the polished floor. She seized her son's arm, whispering through clenched teeth, though her heart was screaming. "Are you out of your mind, Leo? Do you even know what you just did?" Leo pulled his arm free, his eyes still burning after the clash in the emergency room. "Mom, I couldn't just stand there and let them kill him." Maria stopped in her tracks, her shoulders trembling, not from fear, but from anger and helplessness. "How many times have I told you? We are invisible here. Invisible people don't get a voice. Do you understand?" Leo let out a bitter, dry laugh, as if her words were a cruel joke. "I can't be invisible when someone's about to die, Mom, just like she was." Maria froze. His words cut like a knife into a wound that had never healed. Sarah, her little daughter, Leo's sister, had died in this very hospital because of a misdiagnosis. A doctor too busy, a nurse too overconfident, and a system too arrogant to admit it was wrong. Maria turned her face away, but her wet eyes betrayed her. Don't bring that up again," Leo said. "Nothing." He only clenched his fists tight, as if promising his dead sister that this time would be different. In the department conference room, Dr. Marcus Thorne slammed his palm against the table. "The rambling of some kid? Don't let emotions cloud your judgment. We have protocols and procedures. Follow them." Dr. Anya Sharma, still young, still questioning, spoke hesitantly. "But the lab results are truly abnormal. I saw the boy." "The boy?" Thorne cut her off, his voice sharp. "Sharma, you're letting a janitor's kid teach you medicine? Shameful." The room fell silent. In the suffocating air, another voice slipped in, smooth as velvet yet cold. "Marcus, I think Dr. Sharma is only concerned for the patient." It was Dr. Julian Vance. Handsome, crisp white coat, a smile that could lower anyone's guard. He placed a gentle hand on Sharma's shoulder. "I understand your concern, but Thorne is right. We cannot let emotions interfere." The words sounded too reasonable to challenge. Yet when Vance turned his head, his eyes flickered briefly toward the hallway where Leo had been dragged away, just for a second. A smile crossed his face. Not encouragement, not pity, but calculation. Leo sat curled up in a tiny waiting room for cleaning staff. The oversized uniform made him look even smaller. But his eyes were not small. He muttered to himself, "I saw it. I'm certain." Maria sighed, sinking into a chair across from him. "Son, they won't listen. They never have." Leo lifted his head. "No, Mom, you're wrong. It's not that they don't hear. It's that they don't want to hear." It wasn't denial. It was an indictment of the entire system. In the days that followed, Leo shadowed quietly. A black boy with a mop blended easily into the tide of nurses and guards. Nobody noticed the child swallowed by a janitor's uniform, and because of that, he saw what others overlooked. He noticed that Arthur Sterling's condition only worsened during the shifts of a particular nurse, almost always after Dr. Julian Vance had checked the IV line. "It can't just be a coincidence," Leo whispered to himself, a spark of resolve igniting in his eyes. Every time he touches it, the man declines. It's deliberate. One evening, in the hospital's medical library, Leo pushed open the door. The harsh neon light spilled across rows of thick medical volumes. At a corner table, Dr. Sharma looked up, startled. What are you doing here? This isn't a place for—" "I'm sorry, but I need to speak with you," Leo cut in, his voice so steady that Sharma froze for a moment. He spread a stack of documents across the desk. "See? The potassium levels are abnormally high. This isn't Guillain-Barré like they think. This is deliberate poisoning. A synthetic compound that mimics neurological symptoms, but really it's attacking the potassium inside the cells." Sharma frowned, staring at him, her voice taut with disbelief. "But how could you even know these things? This is medicine, not some comic book you just flip through and suddenly understand." Leo hesitated for a beat, then shrugged. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried both defiance and pain. "My sister died here. They said it was a rare complication, but I saw their mistake. Since that day, I've read everything. Books, studies, patient records. I don't read like stories. I read to find errors. And this time, I saw it happening again." Sharma froze, her eyes softening. A silence stretched, filled only by the hum of the air conditioner above. His words were not just a glimpse of hidden talent. They were an indictment of an entire arrogant discipline. After a long pause, Sharma whispered, "Leo, you must understand. This is a terrifying accusation. You're saying a doctor could be murdering. That's impossible." "Not impossible," Leo cut in, eyes blazing. "It's happening. Right now." The air thickened, silence pressing in, broken only by the faint beeping down the hall. Sharma swallowed hard. "But you don't have proof." Leo nodded. "Right, and I'll get it. Tonight." Back in their cramped apartment, Maria listened as her son explained his plan. She nearly burst into tears. "Leo, do you realize what you're saying? That's the most heavily guarded area in the hospital. They'll catch you, and they'll fire me too." Leo stepped forward, placing his hand over her calloused one. "Mom, last time I did nothing, and Sarah died. This time, I won't sit still." Maria turned away, but he saw her lips pressed tight, as if swallowing tears. Leo did not sleep that night. He spread out papers, charting duty rosters, calculating every shift change, every moment a nurse stepped out of the room. Nothing left to chance. Everything was logical. His eyes narrowed as he scrawled the final words, "Just a few milliliters from the IV bag." Enough to expose the truth. But truth is never simple. Someone else was watching him too. Who? And how could a 14-year-old boy outwit hospital security, sneak into the room of a dying billionaire, and secure evidence against a doctor trusted by everyone? Maria stood with her arms folded in their cramped apartment, the yellow light casting shadows across her weary face. Listening to her son, she felt as though she might collapse. "Leo, what did you just say? You want to sneak into the VIP patient's room to steal an IV sample?" Her voice cracked, horrified and furious at once. Leo spread the paper covered with scribbled shift schedules across the table. The handwriting was messy but packed with detail. He pointed at each time slot like a general drawing battle lines on a map. "Not want to, have to. Without proof, they'll bury the truth. I only need a few milliliters of the solution. Enough to prove he's being poisoned." Maria bit her lip hard, shaking her head violently. "Do you even know how dangerous that is? You're 14, Leo. They have cameras, guards, and laws. What do you have?" Leo lifted his head, his gaze sharp as a blade. "I have you. And a cleaning cart." Maria's eyes widened, her voice breaking. "You think anyone will believe a janitor's kid over a doctor? You think cameras won't catch you? Leo gave a bitter little shrug, a dry smile tugging at his lips. Nobody really sees janitors, Mom. They only see clean floors. I just need to stay invisible a little longer. Maria nearly screamed, "No!" But the words lodged in her throat. She knew she was insane for nodding, but even more insane if she let him go in alone. That night, the hospital was eerily silent. Harsh fluorescent lights flooded the endless corridors. Maria pushed the heavy cart, each step dragging like lead. Nearing the VIP suite of billionaire Arthur Sterling, she inhaled deeply, then flung her arm deliberately. Towels and bottles clattered to the floor, chemicals splattering everywhere. A sharp smell of disinfectant filled the hallway. "Oh no, I'm so sorry." Maria crouched, fumbling with trembling hands, pretending to be clumsy while spilling even more. A nurse stormed out, scowling. "What on earth are you doing?" "This is the VIP wing." Two guards rushed over. One muttered, "She's done for." "If Thorne sees this," Maria babbled in a shaky voice, "I'll clean it up just a minute, please." While all three bent toward the mess, a small shadow slipped quickly through the door and vanished inside. In the VIP suite, machines beeped steadily, each tone stabbing at Leo's chest. Arthur Sterling, the tech billionaire, lay motionless. His face was pale, his breath thin and ragged like a fraying thread. Leo pressed himself against the wall by the door, heart hammering, sweat trickling down his neck. From his sleeve he pulled a small syringe, edging toward the IV bag. "Just a little. A few drops will be enough," he whispered, his voice trembling. The needle touched the bag, fluid seeping into the barrel. The monitors continued their rhythmic beeping like a countdown. 1 milliliter, 2 milliliters. For a fleeting moment Sarah's face appeared before him. His sister, lying in her hospital bed years ago, the same cold monitor blinking indifferently. "This time I won't stand still," he vowed silently. As the syringe filled just enough, Leo exhaled and whispered, "Done." Click. The door swung open. Dr. Julian Vance entered. The charming smile was gone, replaced by a mask of ice, his eyes glinting with triumph. "I knew you'd try this, clever boy." Leo froze, clutching the syringe behind his back. What are you doing here?" Vance advanced, slow and predatory. "That's my question. What are you doing here?" "Breaking in. Stealing. You think this is a detective game you can play inside a hospital?" Leo gritted his teeth, refusing to cower. "You're the one who did this. I saw you. Every time you touched the line, he got worse." Vance stopped, tilting his head, silence stretching. "Oh, impressive. A janitor's kid diagnosing medicine?" His words dripped with contempt. "You're just a boy with a mop. I'm a doctor. Who do you think they'll believe?" He chuckled, eyes flashing with ridicule. "Smart, but not smart enough to survive." In a flash, Vance snatched the syringe from Leo's hand. To the boy's horror, he drew another needle and plunged it into his own arm, directly beneath the security camera. "See? Just saline. Harmless? I even injected myself to prove it," he said evenly, as if performing for an invisible jury. Leo's mouth fell open, stunned. Vance leaned close, his breath cold against Leo's ear. "But what you touched is not." He forced Leo's fingers onto a faint smudge on the syringe. The boy struggled, but it was useless. Instantly, Vance straightened, shouting with theatrical force, "Security! This kid is trying to poison the patient." The door burst open. Dr. Thorne and two guards stormed in. The scene was staged to perfection. Leo frozen, syringe in hand, while Vance stood heroically before the patient's bed, his face painted with righteous fury. "Good God!" Thorne roared. "I warned you! Get him out of here immediately!" "No, not my son!" Maria screamed from the hallway, straining against the guards holding her back. "You've got it wrong!" But no one listened. Two guards seized Leo, wrenching his arms behind him. Cold steel cuffs snapped around his thin wrists. Leo did not cry. He did not beg. He lifted his chin, staring straight at Vance. The fire in his eyes was no longer a child's gaze, but the blaze of someone who knew he had been framed. Vance, his gentlemanly facade restored, smirked faintly as if whispering, "You're just a kid." Maria was dragged farther away, her screams strangled. Thorne glared at Leo with hatred while Vance loomed unshaken, as if the entire charade had never happened. In that moment, Leo felt small, swallowed by a world intent on crushing him. Yet deep within his eyes, a flicker remained, a silent vow. This game isn't over. Was this the end for him? Or only the first round of a deadly gamble? The security room was cold, neon light glaring off faces damp with sweat. Leo sat hunched on a metal chair, red marks from the cuffs still etched on his wrists. Beside him, Maria's hands shook as she twisted them together. "See, Leo?" she whispered, voice choked. "I told you, this world isn't made for us. When the invisible dare to speak, this is what happens." Leo stayed silent. In his mind, only the echo of Vance's mocking laugh and arrogant smirk rang. He bit his lip until it bled. No, this wasn't the end, but how could he turn the game around? The door creaked open. Dr. Anya Sharma slipped inside, her face pale, her eyes darting as if afraid of being followed. In her hands was a stack of hastily printed sheets, edges curled from being torn out of a file. "Leo, listen." She thrust the papers onto the table, her voice urgent. "They're about to transfer you to juvenile detention. You have to say something. Something careful. I don't know if this will help, but I snuck into the supply office. These are the release logs, shift rosters, and some paperwork. I grabbed everything I could." Maria nearly sprang from her seat, snapping, "God, do you think a few pieces of paper will save him? He's just a child. Who will believe him?" Sharma bit her lip, but her gaze held steady on Leo. "I will." Leo's trembling hands flipped the pages, scanning quickly. Gauze, antiseptic, gloves, until he froze, his finger pressing against a single line. "IV tubing, VIP model, 6 sets, 48 hours. His face drained of color. "Impossible," he muttered. Sharma frowned. "So what? That's standard for VIP patients." Leo's eyes blazed as he looked up. "No, a single set of tubing is used for at least 72 hours, sometimes 96. But 6 sets in 2 days? That means they were swapping almost every 8 hours. That's not medical protocol. That's a dosing schedule." Maria blinked, not yet grasping. "What are you saying?" Leo's words fired like bullets. "He didn't tamper with the IV fluid. The bags are clean. He coated a thin layer of toxin inside the new tubing. When the solution flowed through, the poison leached gradually into the blood. That's why the tubing was replaced so often. Each new line renewed the dose. My syringe pulled only saline, but my fingers touched the residue at the connector he'd just switched. That's why Vance said, 'What you touched?'" The room thickened with silence. Maria covered her mouth in horror. Sharma stepped back, her heart pounding. "If that's true, then the discarded tubing packages in the medical waste will hold traces." Leo nodded, eyes fierce. "Exactly. And not just any tubing. The VIP kind. He thought no one would sift through garbage. But that's the evidence." Maria's voice broke, tears streaming. "Leo, are you risking your life again?" He turned to her, steady. "No, Mom. This time I'm risking it to save one." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled scrap of paper, stained at the corner with old coffee. Placing it beside the release log, he whispered, "I found this while cleaning Vance's office days ago. I didn't understand it then. Now I do." Scribbled in ballpoint pen were jagged words. S. Cut funding. Final solution. Slow dosage. Tubing. Sharma snatched it, her eyes widening. "My God. This is practically a confession in his own handwriting." Leo tapped the two papers side by side. One shows abnormal numbers. The other was his unfinished plan. Together they prove both method and motive. He feared Arthur Sterling would cut investment, so he chose a final solution. And his weapon was the tubing. Maria's face twisted between fear and pride. Do you really think they'll listen?" Leo lifted his head, eyes blazing. "Not think, no. Because this time, the truth is right here on the table." In the emergency boardroom, tension hung heavy. Dr. Marcus Thorne stood at the head of the table, reporting with iron certainty. "This recent incident proves it. The boy is a danger. We cannot allow a child's fantasies to tarnish this hospital. Vance saved the situation. Some nodded. Others stayed silent, eyes uncertain. Then the door swung open. Leo entered, flanked by Sharma and Maria. In Sharma's hands was a sealed evidence bag containing discarded tubing packages. Leo clutched the two sheets, the release log and the crumpled note. "You haven't heard the whole story." His clear voice rang in the dead-silent room. Every eye was fixed on the black boy in the oversized janitor's uniform. Thorne slammed the table. "Enough. This is a workplace, not a playground." Sharma calmly placed the evidence bag down. Inside are tubing wrappers found last night in the medical waste. VIP-only issue. And here, she gestured to Leo's document, a log showing an abnormal usage rate. The room froze. Vance folded his arms, his polished smile intact, though a muscle twitched at the corner. "A few numbers, a bag of trash. What does that prove? I am the attending doctor. Frequent tubing changes fall under my duty." Leo slammed the crumpled note onto the table. His voice was firm. "Not this frequently, not every 8 hours. And nobody writes down final solution and slow dosage through tubing if it's just routine. This isn't a mistake. It's a plan." The board members shifted, some craning to read, others gripping their chairs. Vance scanned the room, forcing a laugh. "You're going to believe a janitor's son?" Leo did not drop his gaze. "Maybe I'm just a janitor's son. But garbage doesn't lie, and it points to you." The air thickened. Sweat glistened at Vance's temple. He still stood tall, but his smile cracked. In that instant, everyone could feel it. The wall of arrogance around Julian Vance had just been struck with its first fracture. But was it enough to bring him down, or did he still have one card left to play? The boardroom was suffocatingly silent. The pile of discarded IV tubing wrappers lay on the table like dried blood no one dared touch. Julian Vance folded his arms, the corner of his mouth twitching before he burst into a hollow, chilling laugh. "Ridiculous," he spat. "An old scrap of paper, a bag of medical trash. You think a court will believe this? Mere coincidences, idle speculation. You have no real evidence. You don't have the poison." He lifted his chin defiantly, scanning the room. "Go ahead, search. You'll find nothing." The air thickened. A few heads nodded discreetly. After all, he was still the celebrated doctor, while Leo was only a janitor's boy. Perhaps he would escape after all. But then Dr. Anya Sharma stepped forward. Her voice was calm, not loud, but cut sharp as a blade. "You're wrong, Julian. We did find it." Every breath in the room held still. Sharma placed another sealed evidence bag on the table. Not trash, a brand new set of IV tubing, unopened, still in its packaging. Vance froze. His smile stiffened, cracking at the edges. Sharma continued, "After Leo showed me the method, I searched the supply room. I knew you kept a private cabinet, and this was hidden beneath stacks of old files. Unused tubing, but tested, and we'll all see what's inside. And you know exactly what that is." This time, no one spoke in his defense. Not paperwork, not garbage, but a weapon, not yet used, was pulled straight from his own drawer. Vance's face drained white. His voice broke. You planted—" But his trembling betrayed him. He erupted in a furious howl. "This is all because of that kid. A janitor's brat and his mother, scum. And you dare believe them over me?" Those very words nailed his own coffin. Everyone saw his mask shatter. Security entered. The sharp click of handcuffs rang out. This time, the steel wasn't on Leo's wrists, but on Julian Vance's. He thrashed, but it was futile. The door shut behind him, sealing away his desperate screams. News spread like wildfire. Headlines dominated the front pages. Janitor's son exposes murder plot at St. Jude's Hospital. Invisible genius saves billionaire Arthur Sterling. Online, an image of Leo, oversized uniform, eyes blazing as he faced Vance, circulated rapidly. For the first time, the name Leo no longer meant invisible. Maria, trembling, read the articles on her battered phone, whispering to her daughter's photograph. "Sarah, do you see? Your brother did what I couldn't back then." A week later, Arthur Sterling opened his eyes. After hearing the full story, he sat in long silence, his gaze distant. He understood too well Vance's motive. A desperate bid to salvage a career with Sterling's very life. Sterling clenched his hand. A child had seen what an entire system, lavishly paid, had pretended not to. Dr. Thorne sought out Leo and Maria, stripped now of arrogance. "I was wrong. This hospital owes you an apology." He handed Leo an access badge, a symbol. But the true gift came the next day. A lawyer representing Sterling arrived at their tiny apartment. He announced the creation of the Sarah Beaumont Scholarship Fund, named after Leo's late sister, dedicated to young medical talents from disadvantaged backgrounds. The very first recipient of a full, lifelong scholarship, with a guaranteed place at Harvard, was Leo himself. Maria broke into tears. Her daughter's name would now be hope for others. Weeks later, Leo walked down the corridors of St. Jude. No longer in a janitor's uniform, but in his own clothes, the access badge glinting at his neck. He had the scholarship, the recognition, yet his eyes still scanned, still questioned. He stopped outside a patient's room. Inside, a black family wept. He glanced at the chart at the foot of the bed, narrowing his eyes. Something wasn't right. He lifted his head, staring directly at the surveillance camera as if speaking to the world. "They fixed one mistake. They gave me a scholarship. But the system hasn't changed. I saved a billionaire. But how many Sarahs are still out there with no one to speak for them?" If you believe that even the smallest action can change an entire system, share this story so others may see. Don't forget to like, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Toch Stories so you won't miss more stories that touch the heart.